What is the most underrated rating in all of Windows? I'm going to show you right now.
Desert King Windows, we knock out the weather.
All right, we know, if you've watched some of our videos here at Desert King Windows, you know a little bit about this NFRC label. This right here is incredibly important. Just to refresh your memory on what that is, the NFRC, the National Fenestration Rating Council, is the government entity that rates Windows to say whether or not it's energy efficient, and therefore, do you get tax credits for it? Do you get benefits for it? That kind of a thing. This label right here, like I said, government entity, it's not the actual manufacturer that has anything to do with all these ratings. It's a government rating. There is one in particular that is so underrated. I mean, incredibly underrated rating on here. And it's not even factored into tax credits for the most part. It's not even on what's required. And I'm gonna show you. This is very important. You have the U factor, you know the U factor, it's how well it keeps the heat in and the cold air out. Solar heat gain coefficient, the exact opposite. Visible transmittance, that is how well it keeps out glare or light, reduces the amount of light. But this right here, the air leakage factor, is hands down the most important thing on this label. That's because, well, if air's getting through your window, how energy efficient can it possibly be, right? So let's break down those numbers and what this air leakage factor actually means. So first thing for you to understand how the air leakage factor works and why it's important is to understand how it works in real time. How does it work in your house? Think about your house right now as a balloon. You know how you blow up a balloon, you blow up a balloon and it's that big, and that's you pressurizing it. You're blowing air into it. Your AC does the same thing to your house. So you blow up that balloon. Now if there's a bunch of holes in that balloon, in other words, a bunch of windows and doors in your house, your house is always gonna have some sort of holes in that balloon. It's just how big those holes are, right? So if you have a bunch of holes in that balloon and you're trying to blow up the balloon, it's not going to pressurize, right? It's not going to get bigger. If those holes are a lot smaller and they're very, very tiny, almost microscopic because they're so small, that balloon is going to expand, right? And therefore pressurize. Same thing with the AC unit. When you have all of your windows and doors sealed up properly and well, your AC is that pumping that balloon up. And it's a pressurizing in your house, therefore pushing the good air into the returns of your AC, and the whole system ends up being much more energy efficient. So really, this air leakage factor, yeah, it's great that the window keeps out heat, keeps out cold, that's great. But the fact that it keeps out all elements based on the air leakage, that's where you're saving your money. And that's why a lot of people think that, well, I can just replace the windows on the south and the west side of my house and it's gonna be more energy efficient. Yeah, it's gonna be more energy efficient. But those windows that don't see direct sun and direct cold play a huge role in energy efficiency as well. So that's something to think about. And this video and how we break it down is going to show you why. Very, very important. If you're going to watch any video on our YouTube page, Desert King Windows, watch this one, memorize this one. So let's break it down a little further. Let's do the math on it. So we're breaking it down and we're looking at this label. Now, the air leakage is not even necessarily shown on every NFRC label. You can look at, we have hundreds of windows in our warehouse right now, and this air leakage factor is not on every single one of them, and that's an NFRC thing. Again, it's underrated. So what this is saying is that, hey, the air leakage factor, it's equal to or less than a 0.3. That's what this is saying. Well, all that's saying is that it meets the standard. The standard is 0.3. Now that stands for 0.3 cubic feet of air that's coming into your window at 25-mile-an-hour wind. Let me break that down a little bit more. So you have, your house is sitting there, 25-mile-an-hour winds. That's more than a breeze, but not, and I would say a pretty somewhat windy day. Not a super windy day, it's not a hurricane or anything like that, but it is a good amount of wind, right? 25 miles per hour, that air is moving. And it's hitting this window. That means that this window's taking that load of air. How much of it is allowed in? 0.3 cubic feet per minute is what it means. So every minute, 0.3 cubic feet of air can come through this window, and it's still energy efficient. So let's break down those numbers. Standard is a 0.30, okay, for the air leakage factor. That means 0.3 cubic feet per minute is allowed in. How about per hour? Let's say this window is 0.3 for the air leakage factor. Per hour, 0.3 cubic feet, well, that's equivalent to 18 cubic feet per hour, right? Because you multiply that by 60. So that means that 18 cubic feet of air or wind drafts are allowed into your house, and it's still an energy efficient window. 18 cubic feet per hour. every hour. So let's put that into terms here. So if you have all day long, breezy, windy outside, every single hour, 18 cubic feet of air can go through each window, and it's still considered an energy efficient window. Think about that, 18 cubic feet. How can I put that into terms? In 1 cubic foot, you can fit 7.5 gallons in 1 cubic foot. 7.5 gallons. So that means that in 1 hour times 18 cubic feet, that means 135 gallons of air is allowed through your window every single hour in a windy day, and it's still energy efficient. That is a big difference, all right? So think about this. 135 gallons is 3 full bathtubs of water. That's a lot of air, and that's for one window in 1 hour, and it's still energy efficient. So let's start breaking this down a little bit more, and let's actually go to the actual websites and start pulling the data from the websites to see exactly how much air leakage is in that manufacturer's window. All right, so let's start off with the Simonton. The Simonton, that Simonton air leakage factor is a 0.14. So 0.14, so what does that mean? How many gallons of air would that allow into my house? So 0.14 times 60, so now we're in an hour, 8.4 cubic feet can come through this Simonton window in an hour. Let's put that into gallons, times 7.5 equals 63. So that's less than half of the standard. That's pretty good. Let's say here's the standard right here. We're gonna cut it in half. That's pretty good. Now let's see what Anlin is. Anlin is our top selling window. We are a gold star dealer for Anlin, and it's a great product. I think it's the best vinyl window on the market. Let's see here. Their single slider has an air leakage factor of a 0.04. 0.04. Their single hung is even less than that. So let's do the math on that. 0.04, let's put that into an hour times 60. That is 2.4. What a friggin' difference. That's 2.4 cubic feet per hour that window allows in. Let's see here. Let's put that into gallons. So 2.4 cubic feet times 7.5 gallons per cubic foot. That is 18 gallons every hour. Compare that to 135 gallons that the standard is. Window do you think you would rather have on your house? 135 gallons, 3 bathtubs worth of air coming through your window every single hour? Or would you rather the 63? Or would you rather the 18? I like the 18. And here's another little tip. Casement windows bring it down an incredible amount. All casement windows are gonna seal up better than anything sliding. So keep that in mind too. So we went to the Anderson website. Here's the Anderson website, and we couldn't find an exact number on it. All it says is that all their windows are a 0.2 or less. They're just saying it's only going to allow in 0.2 or less. So basically, let's just say if it was 0.19. Let's do the math on that. 0.19 cubic or air leakage factor of 0.19. Now let's put that into an hour long term. 0.19 times 60. It gives you 11.4. That's 11.4 cubic feet allowed into that window every hour. Let's put that into gallons. We multiply that by 7.5 gallons per cubic foot. You're talking 85.5 gallons of air allowed into that window. So now you can see how drastic the difference is in just a couple of points on the air leakage factor. That definitely needs to be a point of emphasis when you're looking at new windows. Air leakage factor, make sure you know it. Okay, so now you know how the air leakage factor works and you know how important it is. I think it's the most important thing on this entire label. And the funny thing is that you're not going to see, you're not always going to see the exact numbers that each window is, which is a shame because, well, air leakage, when they're just saying, hey, it has to be less than or equal to 0.3, well, that bar is set extremely low. And almost all windows are going to be better than that, but there's such a wide variance in what's really good to just the standard that you have to know it. So make sure that you pay attention to that. It is a factor when it comes to tax credits, but like I said, the bar set so low, it's not a problem. It's like, hey, the window just has to have glass in it. It's not a high standard by any means. So make sure you know what it is because it makes a big difference in the actual performance of the window. And one thing to note is that the window size, it has more of an effect on that factor. So a smaller window will actually have a better air leakage factor than a really big 72 by 72 inch window, or maybe a big XOX or something like that, or a patio door. It's harder for that air leakage factor to be better because of how big it is. Keep that in mind as well. Choosing new windows can be overwhelming. There's tons of information out there, and AI might miss the mark. But our free window buyer's guide, backed by 25 years of experience, makes it simple. No overcomplicated jargon, just facts to help you decide with confidence. And don't forget to get 3 bids. And if you're in one of our areas, make sure Desert King Windows is on your list. You'll be glad you did.
We use the best windows, 'cause nothing works better. Desert King Windows, we knock out the weather.